Welcome to the To Be the Church podcast, where we look at what it means to be the church in today's culture. Is that good enough, Ty?
That was great, man.
To truly, dude. To truly be the church.
Be the church.
To truly be the church.
Yes.
In
I had one chance and I blew it.
Culture.
Yes, welcome. Happy Thanksgiving. We hope that you had a great Thanksgiving yesterday and didn't get to what?
That would make it Black Friday when
It's
this
Black
comes
Friday.
out, right?
That's what I was going to say.
So
Maybe
we mean to make sure this episode comes out at midnight, so people waiting in line at Best Buy can.
that's what I was thinking.
Exactly. That's big.
Yep.
Yeah.
But today we have an episode where we're going to do something we've done many times on this podcast, kind of lyrical analysis, right?
Been a while.
And it's because you two almost got into a fist fight over a song that was sung at NGC. I had to actually break you up. And I said, guys, save it for the podcast. Let's just use our words, not our fists. And so there's a song called Goodness of God, and you hate it. You love it. Let's talk about it. No, but seriously, it's a song we've sung at NGC, and let's talk about it. Let's analyze the lyrics.
Yeah, how did we get here, Ty?
So background story, we sang it on a Sunday, and you sent a Slack message or an email to Max and I that afternoon.
It was a Slack.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, like, we shouldn't sing that song anymore. And I looked at that, and I thought, I'm looking forward to, like, discussing that on the podcast, is what I said.
I want to bring up the Slack
But
message
that was
so we
like,
can hear
that was like
my
probably
example.
what, like 8 weeks ago, 7 or 8 weeks ago? It was a long time
Something
ago.
like
Did you
that.
say, how passionate are you about this?
Was it in all caps?
Here,
Could I
here.
search? You're probably better at Slack searching than I am, but it's got to be a thread.
It was
between
August
you and Max.
23rd.
August 23rd. Okay,
Yeah,
so I
you
was
said
I
this.
was 3 weeks post sabbatical, so I was feeling, yeah.
All right, so here I'll even just say I'll give your August 23rd thoughts on it. Okay? You said, "Hey, let's eliminate that final song we sang in Second Gathering today. Can't remember the title. Goodness of God, maybe. Let's cut that song from the catalog. Nice song. Jocelyn sang it really well, but it's excessively individualistic. Nearly every line has my or I in it.
Yeah.
Good song, but I'd rather not sing it corporately anymore."
There it is, and she did. She sang it. Did they say sang the crap out of that thing? Is that a thing they say in the music world?
It is now.
Yeah, she sang it really well, and it had nothing to do with the way the song was performed or sung at the church necessarily. It was a lyrical thing. So the lyrical analysis. What do we got?
So okay, let's just go through the lyrics and then we'll talk about arguments for or against. All right.
Let's just keep it civil, guys. Okay.
Verse 1, I love you, Lord, for your mercy never fails me. All my days I've been held in your hands. From the moment that I wake up until you need to be watching on YouTube right now. If you're not watching on YouTube, pause your stupid
I'm doing the
podcast
motions
app
to it since
and,
we're never going to hear this
go
song
watch.
again at our church. So now is the time to get it.
All right. From the moment that I wake up until I lay my head, I will sing of the goodness of God. Okay, verse 1. Any thoughts so far?
That first line, I love you, Lord, it's a little sketch. but
Your mercy
That's not
never
very,
fails
that's not
me.
biblical.
All right, chorus. All my life you've been faithful. All my life you've been so good. With every breath I'm able, I will sing the goodness of God. Verse 2, I love your voice. You've led me through the fire. In the darkest night, you were close like no other. Known you as a father, known you as a friend. I have lived in the goodness of God. And then in parentheses, yeah.
It's the yeah that really got me.
And then the bridge, your goodness is running after me. It sings that twice. And then with my life laid down, surrender now, give you everything. Your goodness is running after me. Those are all the lyrics.
Okay, so I'll come out here with my. So as I look at this and we've heard this before and we've probably been singing this for I don't know a few years, Ty.
Yeah,
maybe
couple
here and
years.
there. It's a familiar tune, but as I read it, and it maybe too, it could have had to do with the set that day. Might have I don't know what the set was, but yeah, we could actually look that up too. But this was the final song. And here's how I heard it as it relates to the community gathered singing it. I love you, Lord, for your mercy never fails me. All my days I've been held in your hands from the moment that I wake up until I lay my head down. Oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. And all my life you have been faithful, and all my life you have been so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. I love your voice. You have led me through the fire. In the darkest nights, you are close like no other. I've known you as a father. I've known you as a friend, and I have lived in the goodness of God. Yeah. And all my life you have been faithful, and all my life, every breath I am able, I will sing the goodness. And then there's got to be another. Is there like a bridge or something?
Your
That's
goodness
a
is running
musical
after
thing,
me.
right? Your goodness is running after. It's running after me. Your goodness is running after. It's running after me. With my life laid down, I'm surrendered now. I give you everything because your goodness is running after. It's running after me. So that's the way that I heard it, and the excessive nature to the first person pronoun in the gathered body together, it just was so, I don't know. And maybe, if we mix it in between, but I heard it that day and I was like, nah, dude, I'm kind of done with that song. There's way too many I's and my's, and so anyway. And I know you obviously, it's not like you don't think about that, and
Yeah.
So
I think, I think that context matters. I think as well that that you need to have, and I think this is an area that I've not been great in the past, is that you need to have a breadth of songs. You need to have songs that are very like theologically dense and like robust, and you need to have songs that are simple to sing, that convey simple truths. Bob Coughlin, who wrote the book Worship Matters, he talks about how it's hard for him, and this is what we do on this podcast. We look at one song at a time. He's like, it's hard for him to judge a song that a church sings without judging the songs the church sings, like to total. And so I would say that areas of this, like singing about like the subject matter of this song, God's goodness, his faithfulness, and how we can rely on that faithfulness, is like an area where our church could use more songs of. And so like that's when this song came out. I was like, oh, I'm pumped about this. Now, I think that there is a trend in modern church worship music that that's very individualistic, right? And I think that you can if you're not careful, you would lean into that trend too heavy. And so I think another counterpoint, and as you were doing the I's and my's there, I was like, I feel like there's a lot of songs that we would say, man, that's a super biblical song, that we like cherish, that has the exact same I, not us, me, not we, type thing. And so I was thinking through, I was like, okay, I'm leading music this coming Sunday. We're recording this a couple weeks in advance, but we're singing In Christ Alone, which as I was preparing for this week, I listened to that song, was like literally tearing up at the beauty of the truth. And so I was like, because you could do the same thing. In Christ alone, my hope is found. He is my light, my strength, my song. A few lines later, my comforter, my all in all, here in the love of Christ, I stand. And it goes on and on. And so I feel like you could do that with a lot of songs.
Okay, keep going.
Yeah, no, but
counterpoint. Ready to say counterpoint.
So I agree, but I think that the truth of this song, God's goodness, the comfort it can bring, especially, I think we started singing the song right around the time COVID happened.
Okay.
I think the comfort in this song for the individual, but then also for the church gathered singing, hearing those around sing this truth, is a very encouraging and comforting part of our worship together.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. Yeah. Now, so here would be the difference in comparison with Christ Alone. My argument about In Christ Alone, which is a song I know pretty well, is that it's about Christ ultimately. The posture of it is Christ focused. It does use the first person pronoun. So do a number of the Psalms. So
Right.
I don't think we're arguing that you shouldn't ever use the first person pronoun. And I don't think in our gathered worship here at Northwest Gospel that we have an over excessive dependence upon first person pronouns. I think that we actually keep it in the plural, first person singular pronouns. I think we actually sing songs that are more plural pronouns as often or more probably than the singular pronouns. But In Christ Alone is about, I would argue, is about Christ. I would argue the goodness of God is kind of about the person's journey. Okay, so it's testimonial from the beginning, and that's almost the posture of it. The posture is testimonial, and not testimonial like I'm testifying to who Christ is, but I'm testifying to my experience. It's I would say maybe more man-centered in this regard. I love you, Lord. Your mercy never fails me. All my days I've been held in your hands. From the moment that I wake up until I lay my head down, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. All my life you've been faithful. All my life you've been so good, right? I love your voice. You're close. I've known you as a father, a friend. I mean, this is the posture of it is more not just individualistic, but it's like it's my experience, it's my testimony of what he's been for me. Whereas in Christ alone is a hymn that is, yes, first person pronouns, but it's about Christ, his light, strength, song, cornerstone, solid ground, fiercest drought and storm, what heights of love, what depths of peace, when fears are still, when striving cease, my comforter, my all in all, here in the love of Christ I stand. That's just the opening stanza there. And you do have first person pronoun in Christ alone, my hope is found. He is my light, my strength, my song. But then you have 1, 2, 3, 4 lines there that had no first person pronouns and that are all about biblical images of who Christ is, right? And so so that's where I think it's the goodness of God is more, I call it I don't even want to say confessional because you could take that multiple ways, but it's the personal testimonial part of it that I think is a little bothersome to me. And the fact of the deeper we go into this, in Christ alone versus the goodness of God lyrics are shallow compared to the Christ alone lyrics in terms of their actual theological weightiness.
Oh, I totally agree. And I think that that was kind of the point earlier of saying we need songs that are not shallow, but we need songs that are simple and we need songs that are robust. But yeah, I mean, I think about Psalms that are very testimonial in the way you're talking. It's just Psalm 31. He talks. It's a Psalm of David, and he's talking about he takes his refuge in the Lord. Let me never be put to shame. Later on, he says, "But I trust in you, O Lord. I say, you are my God. My times are in your hands. Rescue me from the hand of my enemies. Make your face shine on your servant. Save me in your steadfast love, O Lord. Let me not be put to shame." And so, yeah, I have I look at that, and I'm thinking should that not be No, I think this. I think a church can go, if they're not careful, can go really deep into this personal testimonial, and it just becomes that. I was watching a live stream this past weekend from a really prominent church on the East Coast, and it was I found myself saying these aren't corporate worship songs. These are simply devotional songs over and over, and there was 4 or 5 of them in a row, and it was like this is the shallowest thing I've ever watched. Now, I think if you pair this song with the wrong 4 or 5 other songs, you're going to magnify that. You pair it with In Christ Alone or with some of these other songs, and I think it can actually be a beautiful, almost like a breath of fresh air, remembering the goodness of God in the midst of singing about his life, death, and resurrection, and how that applies to us today. Yeah. But.
All right, log in, Ben.
I think especially
you're the moderator.
Yeah. Well, yes. I think especially so. Say the main idea, the homiletical idea from the text being preached was something about the goodness of God, right? That would fit really well, and it would be within even the context of the sermon. It seems like with that trend, Ty, that you were talking about being individualistic, and even kind of the churches like that song came out of, there's not a bunch of correlation between the music and the preaching. It's just kind of the music's an experiential thing. So we're playing our favorite songs or the songs that do something in us emotionally. So I think it'd be more fitting that way. But I think you guys are ultimately landing in the same place of there has to be balance and intentionality with kind of what's the posture of the songs. But I agree with Ty that there's a lot of the Psalms that are individualistic. I was looking, one song we sing at CW all the time is The Grace Alone by Kinstrew, and that's all first person too. I was an orphan, lost at the fall, but it's a great theologically rich song. And you see that in the Psalms too. There's some that are really deep, recounting all of Israel's history and God's redemption, and then some are just your love endures forever, your love endures forever, and they're technically shallow, but they're repetitive. And so I think having a good balance, and I think something that's been helpful for me, and I've learned this I think since I've been at NGC, is it's okay to have songs that you love for your own private devotional life, but you don't think are good for corporate worship. They don't all have to be, in both. And so Andrew could say, I don't like this song for a corporate gathering, and I know this with other songs, you're not necessarily saying that you might not benefit from it when it's just you and the Lord, or you're doing
Sure.
your devos, so there's a difference there. And so whenever we do these lyrical analysis, I don't think we're necessarily saying it's a bad song altogether for any situation. We're mainly thinking, as a To Be to the Church podcast, ecclesiologically, church gathered, corporate musical worship, what are the best songs? And we're definitely going to lean more corporate, plural than individualistic.
Yeah, yeah. And I think, there's a place for the individualistic there. There's individual... there's a place for the first person pronoun, certainly, in the gathered body. And I think, Ty, another thing I'm thinking through even on it, actually to kind of play your point maybe a little bit on it, is like as the body gathers, there are obviously so many different people in so many different places. You even have non-believers or very new believers or whatever, and you have struggling, suffering believers. And so I don't, a song that is simple like this, that is, it does say truthful things about the mercy, grace, and goodness of God. And I would probably argue, I don't think there's anything false in this song that you could say is quantifiably false. No, that's not a biblical concept at all. There's not anything that we've seen in that way here. So his faithfulness, his goodness, those kinds of things. And so I do think that the way the song could hit different people where they're at, there can be some efficacy to it in the gathered body. And so there could be a place for it. And yet at the same time, I think we're judging that week to week, and we're thinking through that. And Ty, I mean, in our coming on 9 years together now, and I guess we've only had Slack for a little while, but how many songs would you say in the 9 years that I've gone, hey, let's not sing that anymore?
Probably 2.
Yeah.
Maybe 3.
So that's not a common thing for me, in the sense of like, there's even songs that we sing that I might not like or that I whatever, but like I think we have to know too, particularly in our roles, Ben, as like lead pastors, that like my own preferences aren't the most important thing, and yet I do want to lead, and I do want to, certainly with something theological or whatever else, that I would definitely directionally speak into that. But I think I think that's one mistake we can make sometimes in leadership is to build a culture where it's like the preferences of one person or one group of people or a couple people, that becomes what rules the day, rather than having a diversity of opinions in there and tastes and everything else. So anyway,
yeah, it's good.
Yeah, that's interesting. I sit with music pastors a lot, and the varying levels of of oversight that they have from their either lead pastor or whoever their direct report is, just varies so much. There's guys who are like, man, like my pastor makes me submit a set list to him 2 weeks in advance, and he has to thumbs up it, and that makes me wonder, like, oh, like, are you just like not very good at making set lists yet, or whatever. And then others are, like, I feel very fortunate to have been here, where it's like people know their lane really well, and so the only times you've ever brought up songs we should or shouldn't sing have been for theological reasons. Yeah, never been like, yeah, I just don't like that melody or whatever. It's very, you're not the pastor who stands in the back with the decibel reader. I have a friend who is currently working at a church like that. And it's interesting though. But these are the type of episodes that we get emails about, and that people say, hey, you guys are really nitpicky. And we know it's cool.
I like to play that role today. Thank you. You're welcome.
So we know you don't have to email that to us. But this is fun. If you have a song that you would like us to analyze lyrically, we'd love to do that. Send that to us, podcast@tobeTheChurch.com. Maybe we could do another episode at some point. A former member of our church is now at a new church in another state, and they asked me the question via text, like, how do I communicate with church leadership if I think we're singing a song that's actually biblically false?
Oh, interesting.
And so maybe we can talk about that later. But podcast@tobeTheChurch.com is the best place to do that. And Yeah. Any final thoughts before we it's Black Friday, right?
Yeah.
What's the coolest thing you've ever bought on Black Friday?
I bought seasons 1 through 6 of Monk on DVD for $7 per thing. Yeah, Target years ago in Salem.
Yeah, I've only ever gone out once, and it was at midnight to get at Walmart the Lord of the Rings trilogy on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
And then I just came home and went to bed, but it was a really good deal, and I still have it.
I feel like we might have last year done this, like talked about, because I knew you'd bought.
Did I say
Monk
Monk?
DVDs?
Did I say that again?
I think yeah, because
What's wrong with me?
Yeah. But no, I've only gone Black Friday shopping once, and I think I told it on this podcast before. But yeah, one time it was to buy like every appliance my house needed because I just bought a house, and it was like completely empty. Like there was no fridge, no oven, nothing, and so spent a lot of money that day, but saved a lot of money that day too. So happy Black Friday. Yeah, have a great week, everybody.